I don't like this framing. It's a bit better. It's not great though, is it? Summary of my channel. So I'm on a gap year. Have I mentioned? I don't think I have enough. I'm on a gap year. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm on a gap year. It's been about 7 months now, so I feel like I get the gist, and some people have been asking me how it's going, so here we go. It has its ups and downs. When I'm busy and I have enough to do, it's great. I'm having a really good time. I set out over the course of this year to better myself and like turn myself into a more confident, happy, capable person that would do better at uni than the person who would have gone if I hadn't taken a gap year. Did that sentence make sense? I think I'm just gonna go with it. And I think that's been happening. Shockingly enough, when you remove all the external stresses that come with being in full-time education, you feel a bit lighter and you have a bit more time to focus on yourself. I not only have improved the things that I set out to improve and didn't like about myself to begin with, but I've also found a whole load more things that need improving, so that's good. I said that like it was a bad thing, and like it is unsettling at times. It's kind of like deep cleaning your personality, which is satisfying, I think. My goal now is kind of to let self-improvement take a back bench. 7 months of intense focus on improving yourself is a lot. It's very intense, and I've also just kind of found other things that should be prioritized at this point. My next thing is to try and be more excited about the idea of having a career. When I looked into my future, I didn't see my career at all. It just didn't factor into it. I thought about whether I'd have friends and if I'd be in a relationship and where I'd be living and who I'd be talking to, but I didn't think about my career even a little bit. So that's my main focus. Another thing that I'm enjoying is just the freedom of it. I get to choose what I do with my time and who I spend my time with. It's been good for my self-esteem to be around people that I like and that hopefully like me, but will at the very least act like it. But yeah, I'm making my own money and I'm sorting out my own like food and travel and like all of that mostly on my own, but with the massive safety net of still living at home. I'm making my own money and surviving off that, but I also don't have to pay rent, and if I do go broke, I have something to fall back on. I make my own food for the most part, but I can also kind of mooch off my dad's shopping, and like it's good. It's like diet independence. Also just things like being able to take off whenever I want. That sounds bad. I'm not flighty. My sister's ceiling was falling down, so there's work being done on it at the moment, and being home is kind of crap because everything's dusty. So I'm going to Switzerland on Monday for a few days, and that's so fun to have that freedom. However, freedom is both a blessing and a curse. Gap years are long. They're longer than a year technically because you finish your exams in June and you start uni again in the next September, so it's like a year and 3 months. That's a lot of time to fill up. Sometimes you run out of stuff to do and you have lulls and slumps, and they suck. If I spend more than a few days at home, I go a little bit mad, which I think is why I haven't been making so many videos, because I just am never here. Anyway, there are lulls, and I think they get worse the more they happen. Just a week ago, this is really pathetic, but I'm going to tell you about it anyway. I sat on my own in a crappy and almost completely empty cafe and just cried about the state of my life because there was building work going on at home and I couldn't find anyone to hang out with me last minute. So I went out on my own and I cried. I wrote in my diary that night, actually. Let me show you that. Is it weird to show you my diary? I think it might be, but it's fine. I am completely purposeless. I feel like all I'm doing and all I'll ever do is try and keep busy enough to distract myself from the fact that nothing I do means anything. I'm just killing time. Obviously that was a very dramatic moment. That's what diaries are for. Like, it's not that deep. But unless you have an absolutely rock solid plan for your gap year, that's pretty much how you're gonna feel at times. The other day, like, I really was convinced that I'd reached my quarter life crisis and that I'd discovered this terrible truth about life that everyone else was just like willfully ignorant of, and that nothing would ever be the same again. But like, I'm fine again now. It really is just about keeping yourself distracted, but also knowing that you have long-term goals, because you're kind of just killing time for a year, pretty much. So it's easy to fall into that and feel like nothing you're doing is worth anything, and like you're directionless. If I didn't know I was going to uni at the end of this, those slumps would be a lot harder to recover from. It's part of why I want to be more excited about having a career, because I just think if I have more lifelong things that I'm looking forward to, then I won't feel so aimless and unfulfilled and purposeless. I think the scariest thing about being on a gap year is the fact that it's all up to you. When you're at school, and you're unhappy, you can look forward to not being at school and you can be bitter at the education system and all of that. But when you're living a life that's completely yours and completely chosen by you and completely run by you, and it starts to go wrong, that is so scary. But I think that's probably what life is going to be like after uni. So I'm glad that I'm getting used to this feeling now, knowing that I have uni to fall back on. I tweeted asking if anyone had any questions, and a lot of them were kind of similar, so I've like grouped them together. Thoughts on going back to education at the end of it? Yeah, I'm not too worried at the moment. One of the benefits of taking a gap year is that it really shows you whether or not you're on the right path. I'm 7 months into my gap year and I'm having a pretty good time, and I'm still looking forward to uni because I'm excited to learn more about the subject that I'm doing at uni, which is film, if you didn't know. I am a little bit nervous about adjusting to the lack of freedom again, but uni does give you a lot more freedom than sixth form did. It's not like I'm going right back into how things were before, like it's still pretty lenient, I think. How has it affected your mental health? It's been good, very good. I've had time and freedom to figure out what makes me happy and what makes me sad. I'm mostly surrounded by positive influences because I get to choose who I hang out with. I don't have anything pressing or enormous to be stressed about. Obviously, mental health problems don't just disappear. I have depression and that still resurfaces every now and then, but I'm just in a much better position to deal with that than I was before. What do you tell other people / your family when they ask what you're doing? I think the times I doubt myself the most are when other people ask me what I'm doing and I have to just kind of be like, I've been hanging out. It doesn't sound great, but I know that what I've been up to has mostly been beneficial to me, so you just kind of have to say it with confidence. And finally, would you recommend taking a gap year? Yes, I really would. Aside from the fact that I won't be finishing uni until I'm 22 years old, I really don't have any regrets. I think if I had gone to uni without taking a gap year, I would have been so much less capable of throwing myself into the work. I would have made a terrible job of making friends. I just feel like if you're paying that much money to go and study for 3 years, you should let yourself get into a position where you're best able to make the most of that before you go. This all being said, I still have 9 months left. A lot can change between now and then, and if it does, obviously I'll let you know, but this is where I'm at now. Thank you to these people for supporting me for more than $5 on Patreon. Thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful to someone, and I'll see you around.